Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another weekly analysis video where we go over all our major currencies and our expectation for the week. So as usual, we start on pound USD on a daily, and we have this major highs here. So let's turn this to our symbol for our line for a major high on a daily. So we have this major high here, and then we'll mark out this major higher low here, and then this one too. For reference, why is my drawing tool not locked? 2 seconds, let me lock my drawing tools. So we have this high here, we have this internal higher low here, and then we have this major higher low here. So 3 areas on the daily. So let's zoom in and see what markets have been doing for the past week and the past few months. So we have this bullish nature right now in the market. With that in mind, and we're seeing that areas have been broken. This area here has been broken, and then this area here has been broken. So with that in mind, on the daily we're seeing signs of bullish trend. So we should be expecting that strength will take us back to 37.55s around here. And with that in mind, on the 4H we will now be looking for how it's reflected in 4H. So on the 4H we can see the continuation of that idea, a strong bullish trend. So we will mark out our major high here, this one, and then let's mark out this broken. My drawing tool is still not locked. 2 seconds. Yep, lock drawing tools. So we have this major high here, and then this high that was broken, and then we have this major high low here. So keeping in mind that we expect price to come back in and around these areas here, we will be looking for continuation of this bullish trend on the 4H. So what that will look like, we will either wait for price to pull back a bit before continuing that strength, or we see price come back to these areas here, retest it, and then continue back up. But as for now, we could also see price break this area here, break it, retest it before continuing back up. But for now we are more inclined to wait for the pullback, because we had this impulse move. So we should be more inclined to wait for this pullback here or down to these areas here before looking for continuation buys. So that's what I am looking for on pound dollar. On a euro USD, let's start on the daily too. We are seeing again correlated to the pound USD, we are seeing this sign of continued bullish trend. So let's mark out our major areas. This side here, daily, and then this, I'll figure this out eventually. This major high low here, and then this one too. On euro USD on the daily, we can see this area of supply here, so we should mark it out, because we have this candle formation, and then we've had impulse move that has broken area. So it is a strong area of supply, so we should mark it out, this area of supply here. And then with the knowledge that we are looking for dollar weakness, and then in in correlation with that dollar weakness, we should see Euro USD and GBP USD continued strength from last week. So we should expect price to come back to these areas before we start seeing any sign of depletion of that bullishness. So we should either see this price comes back here, pulls back before breaking the area, or maybe when it comes to this area, then we start seeing price showing early evidence of wanting to change character to a bearish nature. But then for now we are leaning bullish on Euro USD, and then of course in correlation with GBP USD too, so we should lean more bullish. So we could see slight pullbacks before we come back to these areas, but we could also see a continuation from this area here back to the supply area. So how is it reflected on the 4H? On the 4H, we would now be looking for more signs of the continued bullish nature. So let's mark out major areas. So I am interested in this one that was broken, HTF, and then this major low. This major low. What's happening in my network? This major low here. This is zoomed out. So zoomed in, we should be looking for again pullback before a continuation back up. So the pullback might be slight to, let's say, in and around these areas, or it might come back to retest this area here, to two areas. But then I would just be more on the cautious side too. I'll mark out this demand area here, because it's a strong area of demand. We are seeing that price created the candle formation and then it broke an area with a strong displacement. So our three criteria for marking out a demand area has been met. So keeping that in mind, this would also be a major area of interest. You might see price pull back to here before continuing back up, or pull back deep into this area before continuing back up. So keeping that in mind, I am using a single arrow because I don't want to put too much information on the chart, but I know what I am looking for, and the idea is either little pullback or pullback down here. But then this pullback signifies both the little one and then if it would come back here too. So yeah, on Euro USD, waiting for pullbacks, we are seeing these early signs of depletion and early signs of the beginning of the pullback. So we should be looking for pullbacks first before looking for continuation trades back to the supply area here. So yeah, that's what I am looking for on Euro USD. And then on gold has had a very strong week. It had a very strong week last week, because gold has been funny. Let me see if I can attempt to close this. So gold has been, as you can see, we've had this sustained bearish nature on gold since January, right? We've had this sustained bearish nature since January, and then now what we're seeing is what looks like the beginning stages of a change of character and then a continued bullishness on gold. So on the daily, let's mark out these areas here. This low here, DTF, daily time frame, and then this not so relevant. I would mark out this instead. I'll mark out this and then this high here. So this areas here, and these are my areas of interest on the daily. But if we zoom in, we can see that there's a supply area created here, although not very strong because of we are not seeing strong displacements yet, although we could see it in the next few days. But right now we haven't printed the full displacement, we haven't seen major displacement, but we've had this candle formation and what looks like the beginning of a displacement, and then the break of this areas here. So this is a demand area we should be interested in going into next week. So how is that reflected on the 4H, keeping in mind that we are seeing again a change of character from gold being bearish to us being in what looks like the beginning of a bullish phase. So going into next week, we should be looking for that bullishness to continue. So we marking out our major areas on the 4H. I am going to mark out this major low here, this broken area here, broken, retested. Oh no, so I am going to do this. We've had the area invalidated, so I'm just going to do this instead. I am going to mark out the next significant area that price could go back to. So here, because this area here has been broken too, and then zoom in to more recent price action. So here, and then look for levels within this more recent price action. So let's mark out this previous high, here, and then this lows. You can see it's within the daily supply area. So these are also areas of interest. So going into next week, we also should be looking for pullbacks on gold. We've had this extended push, so in order to sustain a healthy trend, we should be looking for a pullback in and around here before we see confirmations back to these areas. But we could also see the pullback come back into this daily demand area here before continuing back up. So my arrow will be projected in this way for that idea. And then going into next week, we will be dropping down to the 15 minutes to look for SDs within the 15 minutes time frame in line with this overall trend, and then seek entries again in line with the overall bullish trend. So yeah, that is what I am looking for on gold. And then finally, US 100. On the US 100, we are seeing this US 100, we're seeing it's slightly rangy, right? We're not seeing consistent movement. We haven't been seeing consistent movement for a while, so it is slightly rangy, but we've had this not sustained, definitely not sustained, so slightly rangy. The picture isn't very clear on the daily, but overall we are still bullish. It's stocks, we are usually always bullish on stocks. The general trends of stocks are bullish, but we will usually have natures like this that either distributing, pausing, or pulling back slightly before continuing the overall bullish nature of stocks. So on the 4H, let's see, potentially there's a clearer picture The 4H not so much. So you can see in real time I am struggling to find the best way to go about the US 100. What's going on my network again on the US 100? So let's just mark out this major high here first, and then from there let's come back to this most recent price action and let's start working with it. So zoomed in, let's mark out this major high here, broken previous major, uninterested, interesting, and then mark out this major high low here. So going into next week, also let's mark out the supply area here. Going into next week, we can see that price is attempting to break this area here, but it hasn't fully broken it. We still have price respecting this week, so we haven't seen a full break of that area yet. But what we could see is either price breaks it and then comes back to retest what looks like a supply area being formed but it's not yet formed, or retests it and then continues down, or we could see price come back to this area first before continuing down. And this would be my more ideal scenario, price coming back to this supply area here before continuing down. But let's just put the other idea too. So price breaking, coming back to the supply, and then continuing its bullish nature. So yeah, that's what I am looking for on US 100, and I think that should be it. So yeah, that is our outlook for the week. And yeah, that's our outlook for the week. Hopefully we have good market condition and a sustained bias going into next week for good opportunities. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe. Thank you.